In a small town nestled by green hills and a gentle stream, there lived a kind and warm elderly woman named Amma. Her home was a simple cottage at the very edge of the town, surrounded by a lovely garden, a few fruit trees, and a fence that seemed to whisper in the breeze. Amma didn't have any children of her own, and her husband had passed away many, many years before. But Amma was not alone. She had Poppy. Poppy was her small hen, with feathers as soft and white as clouds, little black spots on her wings, and a bright red comb. Poppy was more than just a hen. She was Amma's constant companion. She followed Amma everywhere she went, clucking softly as if adding her own 2 cents to their conversations. The villagers would often smile fondly when they saw the pair slowly making their way through town. Amma with her sturdy cane and Poppy waddling right beside her like the most loyal little friend. Every single morning, just as the sun began to paint the sky in brilliant shades of orange and pink, Poppy would lay one warm, smooth egg. Amma would collect it with the greatest care, holding it gently in her wrinkled hands. She'd whisper, "One is enough, my dear. May we always have just what we need." She would then boil the egg, eat half for her breakfast, and save the other half for her dinner. Life was simple and good. Amma tended her small garden, growing her own vegetables, and lived with a deep sense of peace in her heart. One day, however, something quite unusual happened. Poppy laid 2 eggs. Amma was surprised, but she smiled and said, "2 is a blessing, my dear. A little extra for a little extra joy." That day, she enjoyed a whole egg for breakfast and another for dinner. The next morning, Amma found 3 eggs in the nest. The day after that, there were 4. Soon, there were so many eggs that Amma's small basket was overflowing. News of the miraculous hen spread through the town like wildfire. People came from all over to see Poppy and her mountain of eggs. A wealthy merchant from a nearby city heard the story and traveled to Amma's cottage. He offered her a bag of gold coins for Poppy. "Imagine the riches you could have," he exclaimed. Amma just shook her head. "Poppy is my friend," she said simply, "and friendship is not for sale." But the merchant was persistent. He offered more and more gold, and the villagers started to whisper, "Think of all the good you could do, Amma. You could fix the town bridge, help the poor, ... Amma's heart grew heavy. She looked at Poppy, who was pecking at her shoe, and then at the hopeful faces of her neighbors. With a sigh, she finally agreed. The merchant took Poppy away in a golden cage. Amma's cottage suddenly felt silent and empty. The gold coins sat in a heavy bag on her table, but they brought her no comfort. The next morning, she woke to an empty nest. There was no warm egg to collect, no soft clucking to greet the dawn. She had all the gold she could ever want, but she had lost the one thing that truly mattered. Days turned into weeks. Amma bought fine bread and delicious jams, but nothing tasted as good as her simple boiled egg. The silence in her home was deafening. One evening, as a storm raged outside, Amma heard a faint scratching at her door. She opened it to find a drenched and shivering Poppy, who had escaped and found her way home. Amma cried with joy, hugging her little friend close. From that day on, Poppy went back to laying just 1 egg each morning. Amma used the gold to repair the town bridge and help her neighbors, but she kept just enough to live her simple life. She had learned that having just enough, when it's shared with someone you love, is the greatest treasure of all. And as she held her single warm egg each morning, she would whisper, "One is more than enough, my dear. It's everything." Thanks for listening to our story today. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more Tales from the Heart. See you next time.